Hello, hello, good morning, happy Friday. You are tuned in to the TMI Show, the TED Manila Information Show. That over there is not Ted Rall. That is producer Robbie.
Yep.
Maybe perhaps sitting in the whole time, maybe not. I'll explain in just a moment. I'm Manila Chan. We thank you for tuning in from wherever you're watching, consuming this content. If you are streaming it where you're able to watch, please make sure you hit the like and the subscribe button to help us grow our little show. I see Ted Rall is popping in. Ted is out on assignment.
He
Out on
is.
assignment on the field at Columbia University at his alma mater because of what's happening over there. So I'm not sure if we're going to get video feed from Ted. I know there's protests and stuff happening out there. I don't know what the connection is going to be like, but Ted has popped on. Let's just check Ted's audio and let's see if we can. Oh wait, I can see Ted a little bit.
We got him.
Hey, here I am.
Ted Rall. There's the T of
Yep.
the TED Manila Information Show.
Yeah, he's giving us the Dr. Reese treatment, but there's no trees.
Yeah.
It's just buildings in the background.
Yeah, I'm not the Dr. Reese treatment. That's the absolute worst.
Go to the Dr. Reese.
Nothing's worse than that.
Okay,
And I like his
walkabout.
walkabout. I like his walkabout out in the woods. All right, so Ted, so what's going on? So where are you? What are you doing? And why are you there?
Well, so I'm in the main campus at Columbia University on the Morningside Heights area of New York City. It is spooky quiet here. I haven't.
Quiet.
I mean, I have just not seen it like this in a long, long time. It's pretty much like when the university is closed, which effectively it is.
Yeah.
Getting in, which was really complicated, even though I'm an alumnus and I was able to use my alumni card to get in. Nevertheless, I had to do a complicated security process where I had to tell them which building I was going to go to. I said it was going to the library, and they basically they gave me a one-day QR code. So that's the delay me coming on. I mean, they're very paranoid.
Wait. So hold on. Back up. They closed off the campus. Like
the campus is completely. Yeah, it is. The campus is in complete lockdown. It's there's if you just look around here, you'll see this. By the way, I'm going to show you where the encampment was. It was right here.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I see. Okay.
And so that's the main library. And, I mean, it's very spooky. I mean, the atmosphere is just, it's hard to describe. I went here twice, 81 to 84, then 90 to 91. And, this has always been a very vibrant urban campus, where the gates are open to the side streets. The members of the community come through. And here,
I wasn't a student. I used to wander through.
Yeah. And it's it's really peculiar because you just don't have any sense whatsoever that there's any campus life anymore. I mean, so for example, if you look at the walls here behind me, there would typically be posters for events and stuff like that. Those are gone. There's no posters for campus films or, whatever. Student life. Yeah. I mean, the campus is effectively dead. And, even though this is the height of the season, right? I mean, this is April. It's not quite, it's between midterms and final. It's not spring break.
Oh.
So yeah, no, it's like, these are all students, but it's just very it's very weird.
Okay. So well, before you go any further, let me at least read a summary headline of what's happening there. So for all those that haven't kept up with what's going on with the universities and I think Trump is starting off with the Ivy Leagues, but in this one in particular, the Trump administration's anti-Semitism task force is aiming to pursue a consent decree with Columbia University as a condition of restoring the $400 million in annual funding to the university. A consent decree would give a federal judge the responsibility to oversee changes at Columbia University and could last for potentially for many years. The report follows a turbulent month at the school where its interim president, who took over just in August, resigned a week after conceding to Trump administration demands. The Joint Task Force on Combating Anti-Semitism, first created in early February by executive order, has launched over 60 investigations into major universities for alleged anti-Semitism and civil rights violations. This week, the administration froze $1 billion in grants to Cornell, $790 million to Northwestern, amid these similar probes as what Columbia just went through first. So I think they were the canary in the coal mine. The State Department has also rescinded visas for nearly 400 students for their alleged involvement in these campus protests. And the administration has also reduced federal Department of Education funding and laid off roughly half the workers for the Department of Education. So, that's kind of loosely tied in. But that's why Ted's there, to check out what's actually happening. I thought, Ted, that we would see a few students, but it's all, protesting, but they're all cleared out.
No, there's absolutely nothing going on here. It's spooky, and I'm a little bit worried there's cameras all over the place now that never were here before, up on lampposts and stuff. So they've securitized this whole area, and it's spooky. And I think it'd probably be smart not to hang out here too long. I'm sure I attract attention.
Gestapo is coming for you?
Well, they have a new goon squad of like 38 anti-activism cops that they've hired here at the university. So I'm going to just sort of stroll out and make my way out of the campus. But I wanted to this is it is super, super interesting to see just, there's a whole lot of nothing, right? So, this is going to be, it's like Al Capone's vault. There's just nothing going on.
Can you tell the audience, though, tell the audience what exactly it was that the Trump administration did to the university? Because like I said, they're kind of the canary in the coal mine. What is it that you think the Trump administration's trying to do?
Well, they're trying to seize control of it. So basically they're trying to subject it to what is called a federal consent decree. This is basically what it means is that there would be federal oversight of this institution. It could go on for a long time. Like currently, friend of the show, Scott Stantis, pointed out that the Chicago Police Department is currently in its 25th year of a federal consent decree. But of course, the Chicago Police Department tortures people. So so that's a little different.
Okay.
And here, normally when it happens like at a high school or something, it's usually a terrible high school where like the kids don't read, they graduate without being able to read, and so it's that kind of thing, right?
Oh, so these levers have been pulled in the past.
Never against an institution like this. Right.
So what would that mean for Columbia? What would a federal decree over them?
Well, it would depend what the terms of the decree would be, but basically I'm sure it would say something about how they would be required to dot certain I's and cross certain T's, prove that they've made certain metrics about fighting anti-Semitism and anti-Zionism on campus, cracking down on pro-Palestinian students and so on. So they would, and if they failed to meet those metrics, the consequences could be dire, right? It could be anything. I'm walking out of the gate here, so I'm going to be probably a little bit on the quiet side as I leave here. But so just give me maybe about 20 seconds here.
So you're not going to run through the gates yelling, "Long live Palestine" or anything like that, Ted? You're not going to go streaking across the campus?
Nothing like that for sure. All right, so here I am out on Broadway at 116th Street. This is the main entrance to the university. I'm going to sort of just spin around and sort of show it here.
Looking at
Yeah. This is what it looks like. Across the street there is Barnard College. That's where it's the women's college affiliated with Columbia but independent. That's where there were some protests. Some students were thrown out of there. Sorry about my thumb there. The subway just to give you a sense of how urban a school it is, right? It has its New York City subway entrance right here.
Yeah, it has its own. Yeah.
Hold on. So
Yep, right there.
right there. So yeah, I should probably. So it's very yeah. What they have effectively done here is they have really killed free speech on this campus. I mean, there's no other way to look at it. I mean, the chill is palpable. There would be no way to express anything, to raise a sign. I think, the sense it was, if walking through there. I mean, I also worked there for several years after I graduated, so I know the campus really, really, really well. And I just never. It's always had,
You worked with Rotund.
I worked with Rotunda. The security at this school was always, kind of like in the background. If something went down, they would respond, but it wasn't up your ass. That's just not true anymore. It's very like, now it's a completely different deal. I think if you raised if you picked up a sign and started carrying it, you would immediately be apprehended and hustled away.
I have a question for you, Ted. I've never been there. I've never been to New York. What are the demographics like?
This is a gate. This is a gate that's always open, usually. By the way.
Gotcha. So, what are the demographics like? They're at the school. Does it have a large Jewish population of students there? Is that part of the reason why maybe
it does have a big Jewish population. No one has exact numbers, but it's probably about 30 to 40% of the student body.
No way, really?
However, it's in New York City,
Well, yeah, I mean, New York City in general is, but I didn't think that there would be that heavy a concentration of Jewish students there.
There is, and it's also very like, but the thing is, most of them are very liberal, the Jewish students, and most Jewish students on this campus were sympathetic to the pro-Palestinian cause. So that's and there's a cute dog.
There's a cute dog.
So
here's here's something I don't understand. Like Bernie Sanders and Ocasio-Cortez, they're coming here to Montana of all places. They're going to Missoula, which is about 120 miles south of where I am, and they're going to be speaking at the college down there. Talk about all the dangers that Trump represents to democracy. Well, my question is why would they not go to this university that's in her backyard? I mean, it's in the same city, but the Cortez is from.
Well, she has a delicate dance to make, and that is that AOC's district in Queens, and I think it also is part of the Bronx, but her district in Queens also incorporates a very big Hasidic Jewish population, and so she has those people to consider, and they're very politically very powerful in this city. So, so she's kind of walking a fine line between her progressivism, or her alleged progressivism, and and here's another. Here, I'm going to give you a sense of what the security situation is up here. This is another entrance to the university. This is my old dorm here, Carmen Hall.
Look, I see how Mayor Adams has been such an effective mayor, introducing trash bins.
That's true. Yeah,
that's excellent.
Yep. And so this is my freshman year dorm, Carmen Hall. So this was the entrance. We're on 114th Street. This is Fraternity Row. You'll note that Fraternity Row, you'll see the Gaza flag in the window there on the second floor.
Yep.
There's Beta House, the red, white, and blue house. Traditionally more conservative. No Gaza flag there. Not surprising. So I'm just going to cross the street to get a better view. Hey, Mayor Adams paved 114th Street. That's nice.
That's good.
So, yeah. So I'm gonna. You're getting the urban approach here. So see that little tent there. So that tent is one of. So the gate's closed. We used to always make fun of the class of 1929 gate. Like if they'd known what was going to happen to their stock market portfolio, they probably would not have spent so much money on that gate. But anyway, so that little security booth, and you'll note the big camera there. That's all new. That wasn't there. That gate used to just always be open, and you could just. And one night, except at, like late at nights, like sometimes they would lock it, and we would get drunk and climb it and try to avoid getting deballed on the spikes. But anyway, so yeah, you go through a little security tent, flash your Columbia University ID, and there you go. So yeah, and yet this is in fact the new. Yeah, there's the whole. Now we don't only have trash bins, we also have composting that's now mandated by the city. New Yorkers do not know how to do it, and then, so
they just throw food on the sidewalks and feed the rats.
That's right. That's right. So yeah, this is so it's strange, man. You got my real time reaction to the way this all looks, because
it looks
people are scared.
Are
They're
other
scared.
It looks like COVID era. Like that's what it looks like to me.
That's right.
So if, say for example, if you wanted to lead a protest against those right-wing MAGA types like me at Columbia, would that be allowed, or would that get shut down for anti-white racism at this point?
I think any protest would be shut down. It's like at this point, they're not tolerating anything. The college, I mean, this is a big deal. Like proposing to shut the federal takeover of an Ivy League school. I mean, it's insane. And, it's also like part of Trump's rich fantasy life, right? It's like, so you're gonna crack down on a college for not cracking down, even though they did crack down on anti-Semites who didn't exist in protests that don't exist anymore because they've all been locked down, as you plainly saw.
So is the only thing that's required now to be an anti-Semite is just oppose a genocide that's going on in Gaza? Is that all that it takes now to be labeled an anti-Semite? If I oppose dropping a 2,000-pound bomb that I helped pay for on a bunch of kids, that makes me an anti-Semite.
Well,
is that what I'm picking up?
It depends on which political gatekeeper you're talking about. But for the most part, if you criticize Israel, if you make a chant like "From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free," that is counted as by the Anti-Defamation League of B'nai B'rith as an anti-Semitic statement. It is officially logged as a hate crime. If someone sees a sign that says "Free Gaza," or someone sees a keffiyeh, that is counted as a hate crime by the ADL. So, of course, if you count things like that, obviously then anti-Semitism is rampant on this campus,
Yeah. So then if I say something like, I don't know, fuck the ADL, because that's how I feel, does that mean I'm an anti-Semite?
Well, according to the ADL, you'd have to ask them, but I would assume probably yes.
Well, then I'm
going to test your cultural IQ here, Robbie.
Oh my God!
Do you know this?
It's the Seinfeld restaurant.
Yes, exactly.
I remember seeing that the first time I saw that, like 24, 25 years ago. I was like, oh my God. I was so excited because I was like, there's the real restaurant. There's the real diner.
Yeah. And so what they used to do is when they filmed it, they from the outside, they all see there's a lot of cops right now. And they would just cut off the Tom's part, so you just saw restaurant.
Right. It just says restaurant. Yeah. But I knew it right away. I mean, iconic. But yeah. I've
never seen Seinfeld, so I'm going to build that.
And then, of course, do you know about these?
Also, Ted,
Robbie, these might freak you out. These are like these kiosks that have been up for a few years, where you can use a phone for free, and it has these ads on it and public information. And you can there's a USB port. You can charge your phone.
Interesting. I've never seen that before.
It's very Orwellian.
I haven't been up there in many, many years to the Upper West. But Robbie, I'm pretty sure if you are not a fan of Jerry Seinfeld or have never watched his
I've
show
never
or a
seen it.
Larry David production, you are definitely an anti-Semite.
For sure. Well, I would say
Well,
that's
Definitely.
true by
well,
definition.
well, I've already said fuck the ADL, so I think I'm already in that category. So I
So this
mean,
is
no,
all
so
these are all Columbia University related businesses, but
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. A lot of those, God, they still there. I have memories of a lot of those places. They look.
That's the
I have
Citibank
no
at
memory.
111th and Broadway, where I opened my bank account in 1981 that I still have. So
Wow. This is like a stroll down memory lane for Ted, except less exciting because now there's like you can't have campus life anymore.
yeah, it's interesting how you can be absolutely terrified by the absence of anything exciting. I mean, you know, it's funny. They what is that famous quote? You would know it, Robbie. They created a desolation and they call it peace.
yep.
That's what's
I don't
happened.
know that one. Yeah, it's weird to me how quiet and dead that is.
So
So, all right.
and then
Well,
I don't
Ted,
know. There's dudes doing stuff in the rain here.
we're gonna prep for Bubba. We got
All right,
a
let's
few
prep
more
for
minutes
Bubba.
before
I'm
he's
walking
due to
back
get
down to
on.
I'm walking down to my place, so
Okay.
I might be off for like 5 minutes, and then I'll just be on.
Okay. We'll here. I'll boot you off. We'll just read a couple headlines, and we'll get Bubba all prepped. I see he's popped in because we started out the week talking about Ted. I told you don't count your eggs before they hatch because you were like the market's rebounded, and then it went and took a big old dump.
Hey,
So
That's true.
hey, the egg farmers here are where I am here in Montana. They're loving this. They have a very
Oh,
brisk
speaking of which,
business.
before you go, let's see how much
let me
egg.
see
Let's
egg
see how much
prices.
eggs are right now. Yeah, let's
Egg
go.
prices on the Upper West Side.
All right, we'll see. Might not be that bad. We'll see.
Let's see.
All right, here's the cheese.
Oh, it's a real supermarket, not a bodega.
Yeah, this
What's
is.
a bodega? What's a
Look
bodega?
how nice these cheeses are.
A mini market. That's beautiful.
Where
So
be eggs?
is a
I love
bodega
that
kind of
we're
like
seeing a grocery store in New York City in real time.
Isn't that
so is
funny?
a bodega kind of like a convenience store?
It's more like a package store. If you're
Like a
from
mini mart, like
yeah,
like a
it's like
grab
a
and go.
7-Eleven kind of.
Gotcha.
Yeah, like a
Okay.
grab and go type place.
Yeah, let's see here.
Let's see
I'm
eggs.
having a hard time finding it. Oh, eggs. It must be near milk. Here we go.
Those are some narrow aisles. There's
They
milk.
are.
What's milk cost?
Yeah, let's see. Half gallon, $3.
That's not horrible
Not too
for New
bad.
York City. That's not terrible.
No. Oh, here we go. We're
The-
approaching the egg zone.
Test is the eggs.
The-
Eggs and butter is the
Well,
test.
there are eggs. So here we go.
That's a plus.
So $7.49. That's the special.
$7.49 a dozen.
Here, these are $8.99.
Wow.
The extra large big boys. Ooh, these are a good buy. These $4.49. I'm taking these.
$12.49.
I'm getting
Yeah,
these
get
right
those
now.
eggs.
No, these are
Oh my word.
these are $5. I'm getting these.
Oh,
I'm getting these.
Ted's just buying some while he's there. All right.
Yeah.
Let's let Ted buy a couple packs of eggs. And we'll do one more headline as we'll give Ted some time to pop onto
This convenience store is
his
sponsored
home
by the
computer.
TMI Show.
That's right. Random
I'll be there.
convenience store
I'll be back.
for New York City. All right, thanks, Ted.
I will be back. I'll be back on the air. Okay, bye.
Okay, thank you. All right, so we were watching in real time there. Obviously, Ted Rall went to go check out what was happening with the threats of the federal takeover of Columbia University, his alma mater, and it is a ghost town. That's very strange for this time of the year in New York City. And then we also got a random grocery store tour, which fits perfectly because we're bringing Bubba Horowitz, who's a trader. He's been in the other kind of markets, Yeah,
I
for a
love
long
Bubba.
time.
Bubba's awesome.
Bubba's great. So that's kind of a perfect dovetail into our main topic, which is the economy. Stupid, not you, Robbie, but that's That's
Hey,
what James
depending
Carville
on
said.
who you ask, some people definitely think I'm kind of dumb because of that Southern drawl. So no, I'll
Well,
take
they
it.
would be mistaken. And remember, Bill Clinton with that Southern drawl, he tricked everybody. He was, dumb as a fox. But here we are. So okay, I'm just gonna hit the well, if I
Okay.
can get my
Yeah, do you want me to do
programs up.
headline
Okay.
3, or do you always just
No,
hit
no,
the
no.
jaws and bring in Bubba?
I'm gonna hit the jaws and we'll bring in Bubba.
Sounds good.
All right. So as you guys already heard, if you were watching live, in case you missed it, Ted was walking around the Columbia University campus to cover one story, and then he stumbled on to the a market before we talk about another market, like the market also in New York City. So who better to bring on board to talk about the markets with us than our buddy Todd Bubba Horowitz. He is a market maker. He's the CEO and founder of BubbaTrading.com. I'm going to throw that up on the screen. Bubba, appreciate you joining us. I'm going to put your website up here too, so we can share that. But we often talk to you about grocery shopping, Bubba, at the other markets. You just saw Ted right now. Where are you, and what are your egg prices?
I'm in Las Vegas, and I have no idea because I don't go to the store. But I'm sure they're expensive because, as we know, only chickens get the bird flu. Geese and ducks, they don't get the bird flu. Only the chickens, so they can rip us off on the eggs, get the bird flu. So, this is the remnants of the Biden administration that we're witnessing
That
now.
is true.
This will clear up shortly.
I certainly hope you are right. But this week, I mean, back to your field, your wheelhouse is the markets. You've been trading for decades, so you have deep experience in all of this. You've seen the ups, the downs, the Democrats in office, the Republicans in office. So how do we explain what we just saw this week with the response to the tariffs? The markets responded in kind. We saw the biggest drops in the S&P, in the Dow, and then Ted, we saw it rally for 5 minutes, and then it took another nosedive. It has been a volatile week. A lot of people got rich too, but a lot of people lost a lot of money. How do we justify what we just saw this week?
Well, first, let's say they didn't really lose money yet because unless you sold, you didn't lose. And those 401ks were so overinflated, anyways, a little bit of a pullback is not that big a deal. I think when you look at the market itself, the markets have been extremely overvalued. And with the policies that President Trump is bringing in, as I've said in the past, there's going to be some pain here before we get back to a real economy. Inflation is through the roof. No matter how you want to slice it, no matter how you want to look at it, inflation is way out of whack. And when you look at the price of crude oil now, crude oil has been cut by about 30%, which is going to bring down the cost of inflation. You have a Federal Reserve that has totally lost their mind and had an emergency meeting on Monday debating about whether or not they were going to cut rates. But in the meantime, what people don't recognize is when the Fed cuts rates, they're not cutting for you and me, the consumer who borrows the money. They're cutting the rates for the banks who borrow money from the Federal Reserve and then relend it out to the consumer. Right. And all the Fed did was make the banks more money because they allowed them to widen their spread. But the action in the market was very much expected. What you saw Wednesday is what we call in the business a rip your face off rally. And that is really just from a short covering rally where everybody was short and the market should have kept going down. And suddenly they realized that they weren't going down anymore. And there was some adjustment to the tariffs and everybody got afraid and they chased them up. The NASDAQ 12% in one day rally. But it really wasn't a surprise. I think it was expected. The subsequent sell-off on yesterday was expected. I mean, it wasn't a big sell-off yesterday. I mean, now we're accepting bigger numbers is not a big deal. I mean, that's really what you go now. Now, a 3% move is nothing now because there's a lot of volatility. And that goes into if you look at there's an index called the VIX index, which measures volatility based on options that are traded. The VIX is trading at about 50 right now when it normally trades at about 20. That just tells you that if you're trying to buy options right now, you're overpaying you're overpaying for eggs right now, about 3 times too much.
Wow. Okay. I need to look at that. I'm a rookie to investing my money, but I try to follow good sound advice from folks like you. I think my husband likes to do this stuff, but from what I've learned, and I'm also even watching, that Showtime show, Billions. So we know the rule, buy low, sell high. Was any of that applicable this week?
I mean, it was if you're a trader. We have to look at this from 2 different perspectives, okay? If you're a trader, then there was a lot of opportunity to buy and sell, okay? If you're an investor, and I think one of the worst inventions ever for investors is the iPhone or whatever smartphone. We won't criticize Apple. The smartphone, because people are checking their IRA or their 401k every 10 minutes. Now, you're not getting out of your IRA or 401k, so what do you care? What do we know for an absolute fact? The fact is that in the history of the stock market, it has gone up 8.5% year over year in history. Since 1950, it's gone up 10% year over year. So when you see these big dips, you see these big sell-offs, those are really buying opportunities as an investor. I mean, I bought, and I'm negative the market right now. I'm very bearish the market right now. But I bought for my IRA and for my 401k and for my investment account. I bought a lot of stock this week at what I call discount prices. And I'm not selling them tomorrow or next week. I don't care what happens. If the stock market itself really fails, and I'm talking about worse than 1929, then we have a whole other can of worms and more problems, and this country will fail. But I don't believe that this country is going to fail. I think that we're going to be good, and I think that we're going to be stronger. And I do believe that Trump will make America great again, because I think we are finally stepping up against China. I mean, are you happy as a consumer that your prescription drugs come from China? Are you happy paying China to produce your goods when we can't even, in this country, if you call customer service, you can't even get anybody who speaks English? Wouldn't you like to have this country be back on the top and back in control versus taking orders and being dictated by other countries around the globe?
Well, I have a question for you, Mr. Bubba. And to answer your question first, yes. I
knew
love all that.
Robbie was going to.
Well, no, I'm out here in the middle of nowhere, Montana. So I'm just a little bit to the north of where you are, Mr. Bubba. So a little bit colder here, but no, that's okay. Here, what's going on is our major economy was where I am. There was an aluminum plant that got shut down. My neighboring town that's where most of the jobs are. The town's now dying because there's no more work. And and the local people trying to compete with illegal immigrants and stuff, they can't, because they won't work for $2 an hour. You actually pay them a decent wage. So my question for you is, with Trump pushing these tariffs, do you see industry actually coming back to this country? Like, will Ford start making, brake pads in the United States again?
I hope so.
I do too, but hope isn't the plan. Do you think that will happen? Like, will we actually start making microwaves and computers and refrigerators again? Or are these tariffs just a whole bunch of flash with no bang?
Right. Because that was his idea. That was his intent, right? He says, make it too expensive to be an American company, like, let's say, Whirlpool, and make your product in China and bring it back to the U.S. That was his intent, at least.
I think that if he gets his way, then we will be building in this country again. We will be manufacturing in this country again. Now, you have a lot of pushback. I mean, how many people have you seen? How many idiots out there have you seen who go, well, I don't want the federal cutting spending. I mean, who doesn't want to see the federal government cut their spending? Are they not giving away too much of our money? Our tax dollars are going away for nonsense. So again, wouldn't it be better if you, in a perfect world, would it not be better to have better jobs in this country where guys could actually make a real living like they did when we first went into the assembly lines and when Ford first started and we had manufacturing, and guys who didn't have a great education, guys and girls, could go into a factory and work and make a good living wage and build something, whereas the people that were smarter and others did other things in business. Now we're in a position that guys like me, I couldn't get a job anywhere else. If I needed to get a job, who's going to hire me? I don't know anything about AI or computers or programming. Okay, all I know is I could pick up a phone and say, hello, can I help you? And then when I don't help you is, well, is there anything else I can do for you today? So again, when I look at the big picture, if we can get jobs back in this country and people can actually make more money, then the price you're paying for goods and services is not a big deal. If we can cut down the amount of taxes that we're paying. I mean, you live in a good state in Montana. I live in a good state in Nevada. Ted lives in New York, which he's paying an extra 13% for city tax. You got to pay 60% to live in the state of New York. So if you're not making $300,000 a year in the city, you can't live in New York. Okay. To me, that makes absolutely no sense. Okay. And it's amazing. California, Illinois, New York, Connecticut, they're the 4 busted states in the union, and they're the most expensive tax-wise in the country.
Yep, I agree. And so, and I mean, that's my concern is that we have all these tariffs, which personally, I don't have a problem with it. I would love to see the tariffs bring jobs back, lower the income tax. Frankly, I'd love to see the income tax go away just permanently. It needs to go away, and actually start making things in the United States and make us a export-based economy.
I agree. I think we lost him for a minute, but I agree.
I think Rob
exists. That's the problem.
There he is. I agree with you 1,000%. Okay.
Well, look, I agree with the goals here. I grew up in, Dayton, Ohio, which arguably put Donald Trump into the presidency the first time, in large part due to anger over the World Trade Organization, NAFTA, GATT, all that crap. And deindustrialization was my childhood. One factory after another being closed. The giant Delco Moraine facility, which employed over 10,000 workers, closed just in one day, and the economy never recovered. It's a disaster. Okay, I mean, there's no doubt. Like the heartland has been hollowed out. So I think we all agree that the problem is, and I think there's no doubt that tariffs like this would have been really very powerful back in like the 60s, 70s, 80s.
Yeah, 30 years ago, it made sense.
Yeah, that's my concern here, right? So I'm putting myself in the, as a communist, I don't usually do this, but I'm putting myself in the mindset of like the capitalist entrepreneur who's looking at the current situation and thinking, okay, is this an opportunity for me? Can I open a factory here and start making some stuff here in the United States? Does it make sense for me financially? And I'm thinking, okay, well, first and foremost, I don't know who's going to be president in 3 years, but it's probably not going to be Donald Trump. I don't even know if President Vance will pursue these same, protectionist policies. We don't even know how with Donald Trump, the tariffs are on, they're off, they're on. You don't even know if he's going to stick to it. Business people, Bubba, they love, they like stability, they like predictability. They want to be able to know as much as possible what's going to happen. Let's say 5 years out. Maybe they can't know 10 years out, but 5 has been my experience with the investors I've met. And so they can't do that. This is such an unpredictable scenario. So I just wonder if this is one of those situations where the jobs are like the horse that's out of the barn, and now we're closing the doors after they're gone, and it's just too late to get them back.
That's true. And again, I can't argue with that. But do we have the ability to re-educate and re-educate our own people here that it's really better for America to be the powerhouse and not answer to China or to Russia, through the Biden administration, and not just. I'm not blaming. This is not a piss on Joe Biden only episode.
He's going to have enough trouble this month with all the books coming out about how he was senile.
But at the end of the day, are we happy giving all the money to Ukraine for the war? Are we happy giving all our money to China? Are we happy about all the things that went on? Again, I think we have to look at it. Can we re-educate people? Because even if you're a climate change person, I am not. I don't believe in it. But again, if you do, I don't hold it against you. I'm not mad at you. But to me, the Green New scam was a scam. They did absolutely nothing for all those years talking about it, but only took our money didn't do anything, didn't fix the infrastructure, didn't get ready for green energy. And if you really want green energy in this country, what is wrong with nuclear power instead of all this other BS that we can
Nothing.
On?
No,
okay?
This is something that the left needs to understand.
Yes.
And a lot of more enlightened leftists are behind nuclear power now. It's hard because of the legacy from like the 70s and 80s, where the whole no nukes movement and, Karen Silkwood and after 3 Mile Island and all that. But, look, you got to follow the facts where they lead you. And the facts are nuclear is a relatively clean option that we need to be doing.
Yeah, it's a realistic option.
So the market itself, look, again, I go back to in history, the market's gone up an average of 8.5% year over year. So I don't think that's changing. Can Trump change the way that people think? That the big question is, can we educate Americans, okay, the imbeciles that are at your university that are ripping up their diplomas, okay? Can we educate Americans to realize that we are much better when we are the powerhouse in the world and not succumbing to the pressure and giving all of our money to other places? We're much more powerful being the bulk of the manufacturing. Even if we do get goods from other places, we are much better when we are in control. And certainly the United States is one country that could be an island, and we don't necessarily need any other country in the world if we don't want to be a participant. If we want to be isolationist here, we don't need anybody. We have enough of our own natural ingredients, natural goods, rare earth materials, that we could survive and be self-sustaining as an island without anybody else in the world.
Yeah,
So,
my grandfather used to say that
true.
America is not an island, it's an entirely different planet, just because of how big it is and the resources. I think he's right. And so I agree with you. I mean,
the geography is amazing.
Everything that you just said, I completely agree with you. The question is, though, do we have the political will and the economic will to actually make it happen?
Well, no, that's not the question. The question is, do we have the leverage to make it happen? That's what Trump is experimenting with right now.
I think
especially
we have
against
the leverage.
China.
Can we educate the people? Remember, again, I just said that people are crying that the federal government is cutting spending on things. Look at how many phony people are getting unemployment claims. Look at how much of our tax dollars goes into the garbage can that we have no idea where they're even going. Can we re-educate Americans to believe in America first and not all these other causes? I mean, listen, I have no problem with helping others that need help. I have no problem with being charitable to those who need, but certainly, wouldn't it be more important to take care of the homeless and the people that need in America first before we worry about taking care of people?
Here, Bubba. I've never agreed with you as much as I am today.
You never agree with me, Ted, but that's okay.
I totally agree with you. Today, I'm totally agreeing with you so far. You haven't said anything I disagreed with. I'm just like, but I mean, here's the thing. The answer to your question is, I don't think it's possible for President Trump or the Republicans to convince Democrats of anything. And I don't think, and the converse is true too. I don't think a Democratic president and the Democrats could do the same for Republicans. Both sides, and I'm making this, there's more than two sides, but these two big sides are so siloed, they just can't hear anything. I mean, if Donald Trump turned out to be the return of Jesus Christ himself, Democrats wouldn't want to hear it. If it turns out that whatever, Cory Booker turns out to be, have the cure for cancer, Republicans wouldn't want to hear it. It's like there's no one is listening because people aren't, it's like I said about the nuclear power. My personality is like, I'll follow the facts where they lead me. And I think it's exciting, actually, to have believed something for years and then find out you were wrong. And then you're like, oh, shit. And then I love that. But most people don't. It really fucks with their worldview.
Most people are ignorant. I mean,
it's scary to find out that because if you used to believe something that now turns out not to be true, let's say you change religions, right? You were religion A, now you're religion B. But all those years you were wrong, and it makes you doubt, maybe I'm right, I'm wrong again now, right? So people don't like to think about that. And I think it's psychology. I mean, to be a great communicator and be persuasive, like, Reagan was able to bring some Democrats over to get things done. There's been examples of JFK was able to get Republicans to come over and do some things with him. That's a special personality. Donald Trump doesn't have that personality.
Well, they don't like Donald Trump, but again, I think it's sad what you said a few minutes ago, that Donald Trump could be Jesus Christ or Cory Booker could cure cancer. Isn't it sad? Because you and I don't know how old you are, but listen, I'm 68.
I'm almost 62.
I'm 68. It was never like this until the last 10 or 12 years. It wasn't like this until Obama became into office.
It's gotten worse and worse.
100 years.
It's gotten worse and worse. And I played my role. I contributed to that with my commentary.
So isn't it sad that nobody wants to work the country together? And of course, that goes back to that in this country, unfortunately, you have Democrats and you have Republicans. We don't have anybody in the middle, and we can't get a candidate. There's one guy who had a chance to win, and he failed because he dropped out, Ross Perot. Okay, and he probably would have won.
Yeah, because he thought his daughter's wedding was going to be invaded or something.
So he thought he would probably. But isn't it a shame that we have two choices of basically two organizations that are both stealing our money on either side? Facts. One does it more openly and does it to everybody, where one does it more silently. But, I mean, you have a Federal Reserve that is more like a drug cartel than anything else. They don't do anything for American citizens. They do things for the banks because they're owned by the banks. So they're going to benefit the banks. So isn't it sad that people don't realize how powerful we could be if we actually were Americans first and not a Democrat or a Republican first? And maybe we have a chance to have a libertarian elected where we could have conservative fiscal views on our money, and whatever you want to do at home, hey, have at it. I don't care what you do, as long as it doesn't affect my life. And if you're doing it in your privacy of your own home, you're not affecting my life. I could care less what you do.
I have a question. Go ahead, Manila.
We've had some viewers. We've been talking about the economy all this week for obvious reasons, right? Because we've never seen such volatility in the market in I would say the past 20 years easily. Even after 9/11.
COVID was pretty similar, but go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. I was going to compare it to like 9/11, where just things were everywhere.
Also true.
Yeah.
1987, 9/11, and COVID.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah. 87 was like this too.
87. That's right. I was there on the floor.
I was there too. I was at Bear Stearns in clearance order.
Well, we've had some viewers say that the U.S. wasn't in such a rut in terms of our trading, our trading capacity and our prowess. It was after 9/11, I think, more or less, was when China joined the WTO. Mm-hmm. What do you think that's been a good thing or a bad thing that we along with China are all in the WTO? Is it keeping things fair, or is it hurting America for us to be in the WTO?
I think it hurts America. Listen, I think all those organizations, the WTO, all those worldwide organizations, to me, they're all a bunch of criminals. Okay, they're all a bunch of stealing money grabbers that take our money for nothing. Okay, I don't want to be in anything that has to do with China or Russia. I don't want to be in any of those organizations because we're only getting taken advantage of. Because we all know that our politicians, and I'm assuming theirs as well, but we all know that many of our politicians are getting greased back and paid on the back door. Because how else could Jill and Joe Biden, who earned in their career, in their lifetime, they earned $6 million. That's a fact. That's not an opinion. That's a fact. They're worth over $150 million. How did they get to that point?
Brilliant investing.
Yeah, they're great. They're the greatest investors in the world.
Nancy Pelosi, too.
And how come politicians will invest $30 or $40 million of their own money to get elected to a $200,000 a year job? Think about that from that perspective. So from an economy standpoint, though, I think that Trump is doing 100% the right thing. I think that there's going to be tariffs on some and not on others. I think there's going to be some negotiations. We'll go back to his book, The Art of the Deal. But you're going to see, I think you're going to see in the summer, I think the second quarter is going to be very disastrous for a lot of people. But I think going into the third quarter, oil prices are now down 30 or 40%. We're going to be back in the 40s in the price of oil. Now, remember, 80% of our economy is directly correlated to fossil fuels. Okay. From making plastics, lipstick, all those things they make with oil, not to mention the driving in your car or the delivery to the stores, all the things so all those prices should start to come down as we go forward, which is better for farmers, okay, that we're now watching because their input cost to production is now coming down. So I said this at the beginning of the year, there's going to be some pain. I think we're seeing the pain now, but I'm a big believer in what Trump is doing right now, and I have no problem with his wacky ways of doing things. I mean, do I agree that he goes on Twitter or True Social and does all these wild announcements? Okay, I'm again not a huge fan, but I can understand it. But I think he gets it. And my true opinion of him is that he has a great love for this country and wants this country to really survive. And he has no interest in the actual financial benefit he may or may not get when this is all said and done. I think he truly believes in American and building America first. And I'm all for that as well.
I have a quick question for you, Bubba.
Good.
So it seems to me that there's a bit of a disconnect between what he's doing with Doge and then what he's pushing through Congress as far as his finance bill. He brings in Elon Musk and Doge to start just trimming the fat out of the federal government. God bless him. No problem with it. Right there with him.
And then
however, he turns right around then and says he wants a big, beautiful single spending bill that's going to add $5 trillion of new debt, creating more inflation. How do you square that peg? That makes no sense. That's pure doublespeak if I've ever heard it. Are you a fiscal hawk that you want to cut out the wasteful spending, or are you just playing games and you're just enriching your donors at the expense of the working class? Because you can't have both.
He may be doing both. Listen, let's put it this way. Okay. He was a Democrat, right? He was a Democrat before he was a Republican. Okay. Yeah. And he only was a Republican because the Democrats wouldn't nominate him. But at the end of the day, I'm not quite sure what the hell he's doing with his spending bill. I don't pay all that much attention because it is no big deal to me. I think what they are doing with Doge is they are cutting the fat. You're taking away people that are getting paid welfare checks that are dead. You're getting paid. You're taking away a lot of that. This new spending bill, let's see how it gets approved. Listen, I wasn't happy in his first term when he should have shut the government down and he had the opportunity. I don't want to see any more continuing resolutions. I think that that's ridiculous. And yet, during COVID, all these senators and all these Congress people took raises while everybody wasn't working. Yes. So we have a big government problem that has to be resolved. And as far as the spending bill, I really don't have a good answer for you because I haven't looked at it. And so I can't answer. But I know that we continue to build debt. But if we do cut debt other places and we quit giving our money away to places like Ukraine, Russia, China, and everywhere else in the world, I think that it'll be fine.
Well, we should note that China has been selling off U.S. bonds.
Well, China's got a little trouble there. Again, I heard the story, and I'm going to say this to you. There's an old saying, if you owe the bank $5,000, they own you. If you owe the bank $5 million, you own them. And I got news for you. The United States, if China gets too aggressive with their selling of treasuries, the United States can devalue anytime they want and stick it right up China's you-know-what, okay? And take care of that part of the picture because we have the ability to devalue if we wanted to. So,
well, that's pretty radical. That's what the Weimar government. That's what the Weimar government in Germany did, right? That's how they ended up with hyperinflation and people paying billions of Reichsmarks for a loaf of bread, and it almost it caused major problems, right, to say the least, in German society. Ultimately, brought Hitler to power.
Oh, I'm not saying they would do it, but they do have the ability. China has to be a little careful. Are they sending a little bit of a message by selling some of their treasuries? They're our biggest debt holder. Okay.
Yeah. It may not be like that they have anything sinister in mind. They may just not think that treasuries are that safe anymore. They're not alone, right? A lot of other people are selling off treasuries.
Yeah, but they are guaranteed by the full faith and credit of the United States government.
Which these days isn't count. It doesn't seem to be worth quite as much as it used to be.
Our government's bankrupt. They're $35 trillion in debt. We don't have anything.
What? Every government is bankrupt because the central banking system allowed it to happen. This goes back to the 1600s in England when central banking started. And when they started the Federal Reserve and they conned the government into starting the Federal Reserve, the four main players in the Jekyll Island start of the Federal Reserve, Paul Warburg, the Rothschild family, J.P. Morgan, and the Rockefellers. Those are not four people that have your best interests at heart. There are four people that are looking to steal the money right out of your pants pocket.
Amen. Agreed.
Bob, let me ask you about China. So China seems to be the sticky wicket here, right? In the tariffs, and it's hard not to see psychology here. Both President Xi and President Trump seem to be kind of the same person. They both basically, their model is, we're going to make, our country's been screwed over and cheated for years and disrespected. We're going to flex our muscles now, and we're not going to be dissed again. And you bring it, and I will give it back to you. And so it's a collision, right? It's a game of chicken between these two very stubborn, very powerful men, and who both have, pretty much are kind of like the same people. So how does this end, right? I mean, I don't see who blinks. Who's going to blink? Anyone?
I think China will have to blink, but the big advantage that Xi has over Trump is he's in for life. Okay. So China has a 100-year plan, which was accelerated by Joe Biden, but Trump could get knocked out of office, so Xi can hold on.
Even if she gets sick, he can anoint his successor, who will be just like him.
But I believe, it is my opinion, this is not fact, it is my opinion, that China must have the cooperation of the United States. Otherwise, they're going to really fall into a deep economic hole. They're already struggling, and we never really believe the numbers that come out of China. But certainly their economy is struggling, their real estate market is struggling, and we already know that they're the worst on human rights there. I mean, they're any time away, if things got bad enough, from a potential revolution in China. And we know one thing about China: there's a lot more poor people than there are rich people in China.
That's true here too, though.
That's 100% true here, but at least here, people have a chance. There, we know that China is the worst human rights in the entire world. Does anybody disagree with that?
We're trying to catch up, though.
No, listen, you're not going to get an argument with me. What we've done to this country over the last 20 years, okay, and longer, I mean, we keep promising things, but all you see is more homeless, and you see more of your tax dollars flowing out either into a politician's pocket or out of the country, when should we not be taking care of our own people here first before our money leaves this country? That's the way
I agree with that part, that last part. But we also have to give China a little bit of credit that since the Reagan era, when they were, I'm not going to say bottom of the barrel poor, where everybody was poor, but since in my lifetime,
trying to climb out of the Cultural Revolution. Right. Still,
they lifted more people out of abject poverty per capita across their entire country that has over 1 billion people. They've lifted a lot more people out of poverty than the U.S. has.
Yeah, we kind of helped them with that, Manila. I mean, we exported our jobs and imported their unemployment. So, I mean, that's not a good trade.
Both things can be true.
I'm not disagreeing with you, but they had a lot lower bar to clear to get that far, right? I've been to China, and I've been in their factories, and I've watched them build roads there, where when you build a road in China as an employee, you sleep on that road under a little hut, and you don't go home until the road is done.
And it's fast.
You don't get a roof over your head unless you're a manager until there's a roof on the building. So you got guys working in sandals, digging foundations versus tractors. So look, again, at the end of the day, China sent COVID over here as chemical warfare. That has always been my opinion. I still stand by that opinion. I don't want my drugs coming from China. They still are. I'm thrilled with that Trump is really stepping up. My only problem with what's going to happen here is Trump may run out of time before he straightens out what's going on there.
Our own guy, Dr. Fauci, had a lot to do with that. So I'm not going to put it all squarely on China. He was in bed and doing business with a lot of Chinese, biopharmaceutical, and that's a whole different thing happening with Dr. Fauci.
Agreed. But he got pardoned.
I know he got a blanket pardon along with Hunter and the whole Biden crime family, and going back 10 plus years at this point. So they're untouchable at this point. But here we are now, a year after, well, not even a year, a few months out from when all of that happened. We're left holding the bag. We're left with the Biden economy, and Trump says, you got to take some nasty medicine sometimes to cure whatever's wrong. So I guess we're
speaking
in
of
that
nasty
phase.
medicine. Speaking of nasty medicine, it has to be said that the vaccine was safe and effective for our YouTube community guidelines. It worked 100% of the time. There were no side effects.
Yes,
there were no problems. I mean, it was a great thing. Operation Warp Speed was a stellar success. Thank you, President Trump,
we have to say
for giving us that.
We have to say that Operation Warp Speed was amazing and the vaccines were safe and effective. But it doesn't change where COVID came from, Dr. Fauci and labs in China. So, there's that. Both things can be true.
Very much so.
That's true. Or can they? Well, yes, they can.
Yeah, I don't even know what to make of that anymore. Bubba, we have bent your ear for long enough. I know it's early where you are. You're out on the West Coast in Las Vegas. Always appreciate your time because we know you have not only a lot of insights, but a lot of opinions, and they are fun to hear.
I don't have any opinions. I'm as soft as the other side of the pillow.
There's nothing wrong with having a lot of opinions.
I appreciate you guys. Enjoyed it. Thank you so much for having me.
Have a great weekend, Bubba. Thanks for coming on.
We'll look forward to it again. Thanks, guys.
Soon. Don't be a stranger. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. He's always a lot of fun.
I love Bubba.
But yeah, he's great. And Robbie, how are we doing on
I didn't know what he looks like until today.
He's been on with us visually before.
Yeah, Rumble's,
I don't know.
Yeah, Rumble's throwing us some love right now. You want me to go ahead and do it?
Okay, so remember what I said about the delivery. Go.
We got to do a quick, clean delivery.
Quick and clean.
We're going to say
because it's an ad. Let's not don't wallow on ads. Okay.
So we got to say, all right.
So you're having the Southern guy.
Brought to you by.
So you're having the Southern guy trying to read quick.
Yeah.
That's bold. All right, let's do this.
Ready? Okay. Everybody, silence. This episode brought to you by.
This episode is brought to you by Rumble Premium. Just wait for it. There we go. This sponsorship is from Rumble, one that is incredibly important to the survival of the company. When Rumble first started in 2013, they built a platform for the small creator. They didn't censor or have biases. They were fair and treated all creators equally. No one thought platforms would censor political conversation or censor opinions on COVID, but they did. Facebook admitted they fell to pressure from the Biden and Harris administration. Rumble did not. They held the line. They're attacked daily for giving us a voice to talk to you. They are attacked in corporate media. They're attacked by governments like France. They are attacked from brand advertisers who refuse to work with them. Corporate America is fighting to remove speech. Rumble is fighting to keep it. Rumble won't survive with brand advertisers. They won't get much of it. Watching our show on Rumble is the most they can ask for you. But if you really believe in this fight, and if you have the means, one major way you can help Rumble survive is by joining Rumble Premium. Join the community that believes in the First Amendment and believes in our human right to free speech. Rumble is offering $10 off with the promo code STUDIO when you purchase an annual subscription. Go to rumble.com/premium and use promo code STUDIO. Like I said, if you have the means and believe in the cause, now is the time to join Rumble Premium. If you don't have the means, we're just happy to have you watch us on Rumble. And I agree with every bit of that.
All right. Thanks, Robbie.
How was that? Was that quick enough?
No.
as quick as a Southern drawl will take you.
I might have
Robbie.
to do the next one. All right.
Anyway. Fair enough.
That's as quick as a Southern drawl can take you, Ted. So
that's all I got for you.
No hate on that. All right. That's going to do it for us.
That'll be a problem in New York.
New York Minute, right? That's going to do it for us for this wild week. I know everyone's like panic buying. I don't know about you, Ted, but I saw a lot
buying or panic selling.
No, not stocks. I mean at the regular grocery store and at the regular stores.
Yeah, I don't know why people panic.
This is like COVID. It's like COVID all over again. Like the Dollar Tree shelves.
I'm just after my eggs. I was so excited to find a $5 dozen of eggs.
Well, that already made your day. You found $5 dozen eggs.
Yeah, but then I was disappointed because my tempty cream cheese was $9.
Oh, jeez. But
Yeah.
okay, so
I mean, just think about
there,
that. It's like
well, if it's from Europe,
$16
tariffs
with
are
taxes
halted.
for 2 small items. It's
I just want
insane.
to say, I mean, you showing us your university, that was just creepy. I
It
mean,
was so creepy. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, they've created a police state there, and I don't know what the Trump administration wants them to do. That's going to be a protest-free zone, right? I mean,
Weird.
who's going to protest in there. You're
well, I mean,
gonna
there's a First Amendment free
You're
zone,
gonna
right?
get kicked out of school.
Well, yeah, even if you graduate, they take away your diploma after you graduate.
That's really shitty. You earned your diploma and then they rescind it. Like how does that even work? Like
It's
you pay a
disgusting.
gajillion dollars to go there, earn your diploma,
Mhm.
and then they revoke it. Like
Yeah,
how
yeah. Remember when your mom and dad said, like, study hard in school. Your education is the one thing they could never take away from you.
That's how my mom used to
Ted,
always say.
was it Voltaire who said to find out who rules you, find out who you ain't allowed to criticize? Wasn't that Voltaire who
I
said
believe
that?
that was Voltaire.
Mhm. Yeah.
You know, Voltaire
Well,
was constantly being sent to prison for, for making fun of the king.
Yeah.
well,
He was
here
the
we
best.
are. Here we are. So, maybe we'll see BB make a surprise appearance at his new owned school. Because he owns that school. So
Well, yes, he does. They should honestly, if I were one of the trustees of the university,
I'd
I
shut
would
it
say,
down.
shut it down. It'd be like classes end May 15th. You could finish your term. We're not going to have a summer session. We're not reopening in the fall. We're going to leave that gate closed. If we're not free
what do you shut
to
it down?
to do what we want any old
Literally
time,
shut it down.
shut it down.
I agree.
It's the James T. Kirk option. You want to take over my ship? I'm self-destructing the ship. You can't have it.
Okay.
Well,
But you're going to
better
die
that.
too. That's right. Fuck you.
I have no problem with that. None at all.
That's the way. I mean, you. There's just a certain point where it's like, I'm willing to talk to you, but if you're going to like insist on reaming me anally without lube over and over, at a certain point, it's like, no, fuck off.
Like this message will now self-destruct.
Yeah. I mean. By the way, I just want to reiterate that that university has hundreds of thousands of wealthy living alumni. I'm not wealthy, but I'm living. I'm an alumnus, and I got to tell you, if there was an appeal that went out that said, Trump is fucking us because he doesn't want us to have free speech on our campus. He's in league with the Zionists. We're going to be out $400 million. I guarantee you, all the liberal alums would cough up $1 billion to replace it.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, these people, look, my ex-girlfriend from college, she's the head of aviation finance at one of the biggest banks the 3 biggest banks in the world, okay? And she and her husband donate millions of dollars a year to Columbia University and Barnard College. Now, I guarantee you that if they got the call, like, hey, we need $10-15 million, they'd do it. And that's just one class. I mean, there's, I get the alumni magazines, there's like, I'm class of 1952, I'm class of 1957. I mean, these are lawyers, doctors, retirees.
They could make up $400 million.
These are rich
easily.
people, okay? I mean, $400 million, what is that? That's 400. So $1 billion is 1,000 million, right?
Yeah.
So you need 1,000 people to make up $1 billion. So you need 40,000 people to make up $400 million.
I have a question for you, Ted.
No problem.
I've never been to college. I'm one of those uneducated voters that Trump loves. That's me. All right. Can't tell by the draw. There you go. I just added myself. Can't the alumni pressure the college? Can't they say, if you bow on this, we'll cut you off?
Well, so that's
can't the pressure come from the other way?
Yeah. So what's happened is that, in fact, that's what happened in the first place. And it's been well documented that these pro-Zionist donors have been pressuring the university to cave to Trump and saying, and go after the non-existent anti-Semitism on the campus. So it absolutely liberal donors could and should pressure. And that's the thing is the administration is being squeezed between these rival forces. It's a civil war. Marx called this a division in the ruling classes, when you have a crisis that turns one segment of the rich against the other. And that's what this is. This is that.
Ted, does this make you anti-Semitic? And then then the other side becomes anti-Semitic.
Look, I am as violently opposed to anti-Semitism as it's possible for a human being to be. Anti-Semitism is one of the most repugnant, disgusting, historically, completely
racism
bankrupt.
in general.
Yes, but anti-Semitism is even a special form because, it did result in, the murder of, millions of innocent people for no reason. The problem.
We can't even define the term, though, right? I mean,
can we say anti-Jewism, right? Probably would be a better term.
That would make,
anti-Judaism.
How would you say
a lot of
racism?
my Arab friends, Arab friends say,
I oppose Israel. That doesn't mean I'm a racist.
Right. Well, that's a different thing, right? Although they're trying to conflate it and say it's the same.
The Trump administration says it is. The Trump administration says
so does the Columbia University. Is that their official policy now?
The state of Texas passed a law that the old wheels down there, their governor signed, saying that if you don't support Zionism, you cannot have a state contract if you're a business. You have to sign a loyalty pledge to a foreign nation.
So most anti-Semitism,
how the fuck is that America first?
But most anti-Semitism historically has been right wing, right? I mean, not all of it. There's certainly been communist anti-Semitism, but not nearly to the same level as, say, Nazi Germany or fascist Italy and whatever. But the point is that, they're making it up, right? I mean, it's like there's basically the amount of anti-Semitism at these protests was so negligible as to not be measurable, in that it wasn't measured. So, it's a farce. And not to mention also, kind of like going back to the conversation with Bubba about the jobs, the protests, as you saw, as I showed you, are done. So what do you want Columbia to crack down on? The empty quad? You want them to crack down on the pigeons? Because there ain't no protests anymore. All of those pro-Palestinian groups have been banned and crushed, and the kids expelled. What do you want? So what do you want them to do now?
I'm going to take it a step further, Ted, because as you know, I'm a Christian. I mean, it's not a shocker. It's not exactly a secret. I was witnessing to a tourist who's Jewish, and I was telling him about Jesus because I'm a Christian, so I do. And he's like, "That's anti-Semitism." So, excuse me. Is being Jewish, is it a race or is it a religion? Because when I became a Christian, I didn't stop being a white guy. My race didn't change. So, I mean, you have to be able to define the freaking term. They can't even do that.
Well, look, prophesizing is always dangerous, right? I mean, people, often take offense to it.
Of course, but if I go to a Muslim though, and if I say, hey, let me tell you about Jesus, he might tell me I'm wrong. He's not going to say you're being a racist.
Well, I mean,
I'm not. I can't change your race.
Jesus does have special status in Islam. He's a prophet.
Course. Yeah,
but
very much so.
But he's a nobody in Judaism.
They hate him. No, there is that. Read what the Talmud says about him. But I guess that the point I'm trying to make is before you start outlawing whatever anti-Semitism is, you need to actually be able to define the term. And right now, we can't even do that.
Fair.
Well, that's the thing, right? Like
that's where you lose me.
Nobody can agree on the definition of it.
Right.
The ADL, Jonathan Greenblatt, he's the CEO of the ADL. He keeps saying like any statement of anti-Zionism is a statement of anti-Semitism by definition. So he started adding anytime someone reported that they saw From the River to the Sea t-shirt or something, he started counting those as hate crimes. And so of course there were a lot of those.
Through BB's face on a t-shirt, I'm anti-Semitic.
My wife is a black woman. If somebody comes up and says, "Hey, why are you married to that?" No, use the word of your choice. That's obviously racism. Okay, my kids are mixed; they're half black. Shocker! I'm married to a black woman. that is an obvious form of racism.
If they didn't come out Asian?
No, imagine that. No, it's crazy. And you know what?
with the Asian mailman.
You know, when my wife became a Christian, she didn't stop being a black woman. When my kids became Christians, they didn't stop being mixed race. So, I mean, before we start criminalizing an entire class of speech, can we at least agree on what a freaking definition is?
Well, apparently, I think the whole point is that that's a feature, not a bug, Robbie.
Right.
The people who are trying this is intentional. They want you to live in fear
moving
because
the goalposts.
If you don't know the rules, right? You're always scared.
Chaos all the time.
Better not to say
You're always
anything.
looking over your shoulder.
And that is why, and that is why I will always side with the Palestinian protester over the Zionists every single time, because I at least know where I stand with them.
Yeah, there shouldn't be any conflation, and it's so annoying that they deliberately do that, and that's, you know, people like little Ben Shapiro, and they deliberately do that.
And the correct answer again is it's bullying. The correct answer is always fuck you.
Yes. So there's that. I'm always for free speech. I don't care if you are a skinhead, white supremacist Nazi. I will still defend your right to speak. You can spew your hate. It's fine. If you want to say,
look,
from the river to the sea,
I was against all the people who were doxxed after Charlottesville, people who were doxxed after J6 lost their jobs, and you know they shouldn't have been. Like, you know, they're expressing. And the First Amendment protects
if they want to
speech.
if they want to wave the flag of Israel, I'm for that too.
I don't care. Honestly, I don't care if the guy who serves my pizza is a neo-Nazi skinhead. I don't care, as long as he doesn't spit in my food.
Right.
As long as he doesn't give someone a hard time for being Jewish, I don't give a shit. Like, that person's allowed to. They're entitled to work. They're entitled to hold a job. They're entitled to live in this world. They're entitled to be left alone. I mean, they have politics that I don't agree with. So what?
What? I don't care.
I'm going to say this real quick because I know we're going over and I have to actually go do my day job. I was going through looking at the ADL's website. They criticized Trump, calling it racist for wanting to close the borders and control immigration, while on the exact same webpage talk about how Israel is the Jewish state, is an ethno state that must be protected and cannot have open borders. Jonathan Greenblatt, from the bottom of my heart, fuck you, sir. You are a Nazi. You are a scum sucker. You are scum. And that makes me anti-Semitic. Fuck you doubly so.
Well, there's that. Well, and I agree with Robbie's right to free speech, and apparently Rumble agrees with it too, because they allow all sorts of ideas.
We'll see.
A lot of people, by the way, have either quit the ADL or are thinking about quitting the ADL because they disagree that there's anti-Zionism is anti-Semitism. They're like, it's wrong. It's not true.
Right. Within the Jewish community, there's a whole thing. So, I mean, I know a lot of Jews. I'm from Los Angeles. I know a lot of Jews.
And by the way, there are a shit ton of pro-Gaza Jews on the Columbia campus who have been completely unpersoned in all of this fiasco.
Yeah. I know a lot of Jewish people on both sides of this. I mean, being from LA, it's split, right? And I still love them both sides. I don't agree with one side. I may lean more towards the other, but that, you know, I agree with their ability to espouse whatever it is that they believe. Like, if they want to say it. Like,
the hypocrisy is so rampant. Say no, that Europe and the United States have to take in an unlimited number of migrants from the third world to the detriment of your population, while on the other side of their mouth. Well, on the other side of their mouth, saying Israel is a ethno state that must be preserved,
and
they can eat a bag of dicks,
right? That's, you can't have that. You can't say that. The same people that are like here, taking all the, you know, migrants in Europe and in the U.S.
Yeah, we're going to start these wars, create a migration problem, and then you have to absorb the migrants that you created because you trashed all these countries. Meanwhile, you have to continue enriching us, and if you criticize us, you're an anti-Semite. We're going to get you fired. We're going to control your government.
That's shitty.
That sucks.
That's really
where you lose me.
So with that, we're going to go into the weekend.
No harsh feelings here.
Well, thanks, Robbie. So with that, guys, from the three of us, Manila Chan.
It's Passover, right? So for our Jewish listeners,
and Easter's coming up.
So please, have a great Passover, peaceful, happy Passover.
enjoy your Seders and stuff and whatever, right? Like that's
Mm-hmm,
go on with your bad self on Seder.
mm-hmm.
Stuff it up. All right, that's gonna do it. Manila Chan, Ted Rall, producer Robbie, right over there.
Yep.
You know, chill as ever.
Throwing bombs.
Yeah, calm. So calm.
Chill as ever, obviously.
Yeah,
We'll be
pretty calm.
back Monday. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see what, keep your eyes peeled. You guys see any stories, send it our way. I'm going to put our email up there. It's supposed to be for question, but if you have any story ideas,
you can send comments. You could
send whatever. Right
you know,
there.
like you could talk
TMI
about
Show
like
question.
how hot I am.
That, yes, obviously.
Anything for Clovis.
Or if you guys, what you think about like Ted doing a walking tour of stuff like that. Like,
Yeah, was that stupid or was that good?
Right. If you guys, whatever you guys thought of that. I thought it was pretty cool. I thought that was cool because you're in the middle of the city. So that's
how did the signal work? Was it good enough?
It wasn't bad.
Yeah, and the college was good. It got kind of fuzzy in the grocery store, but
that's because obviously I was inside the building. Yeah.
But no, there at the campus show was good.
Email us right there. TMI Show question @yahoo.com. All right, guys, have a wonderful weekend. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you Monday.
No,
Adios,
you won't.
Amigos.
No, you won't.
Oh no,
Monday.
I'm wrong. Sorry. Yes, thank you, Ted.
First
that was just
time for everything.
habit. Thank you, Ted. We are
The woman's
taking
wrong.
Monday off. We are taking Monday off, 3-day weekend. I have family in town, so I'm gonna try to enjoy some visitors here. The weather has been inclement, so we're kind of losing a day of our what would be otherwise me playing tour guide. The weather's very bad. It's pouring. It's raining cats and dogs
Take them
out.
to museums. It's Washington.
Yeah, I know, but then you got to walk in between. We're gonna do that, but it's hard when you have little kids, Ted. There's little kids involved. It's spring break.
Museums are still good.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So, but walking.
Do you
in
drive
between
or do
is-
you take mass transit?
Drive.
Yeah.
Drive. But then parking is it's a whole thing. I don't want to get into that whole conversation. But anyway, Ted is right. We are not back Monday. Not Monday. Tuesday. 3-day weekend.
We will gladly see you.
We're not
Tuesday.
doing anything sneaky. I know people were like, "How come?" Whenever we take a day off, sometimes we.
What are they up to?
It's true.
There was that time that we tried to overthrow the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Remember that?
Yeah, it was a
Remember
quick
that
turnaround
time?
trip.
If I have time, I'll put together like a best of thing and run it on Monday, but I can't make any promises. I have a pretty packed week.
So there you go.
With work.
Yeah, we are not here Monday. We'll be back on Tuesday. So I'm sure there won't be any news to catch up on then.
No, it'll be another slow news.
Yes,
weekend.
3-day weekend for the TMI
you know
show.
me, I'm always looking for the media dump tomorrow morning.
Well, yes.
It starts around 2:00 in the afternoon on Fridays, and then
yes, in the evening. I always see it around dusk.
Used to be later. Now it's starting earlier.
Really? Yeah, I'm used to it being around dusk when people are out of work and going to dinner or happy hour. That's usually when at whatever administration it is, that's usually when they start dumping their whatever they don't want the media to see.
Exactly. But they can still say, we did release it.
No, we put out a press release. I don't know what you're...
Yeah, what do you mean?
It was out there for the public.
Yeah, that whole how we were torturing rabbits just for fun. Yeah.
It's fine. No, I think it was Cocker Spaniel. No, what kind of dog was it that Fauci liked to?
Cocker Spaniels.
Yeah, it was Cocker Spaniels.
Oh,
that seems.
Ears.
Yeah, they're cute. That's wrong.
Poor thing.
I mean, if there was a breed of dog you'd be pro-torture, what would it be?
None.
Come on,
I like dogs.
Come on, you got to choose one.
I'll tell you what.
It's Sophie's choice.
Tell you what, cats make great fox bait.
Hey, you watch that?
It's true. Hey, listen, you're
careful.
Listen, if you're going to go, if you're going to go after my canine friends, I'll go after your feline.
I'm only going after one breed. That's the least that you guys could sacrifice for my
a breed. I don't have a breed.
Entirely theoretical.
Oh, okay, so then, I will give you a canine that I would give you, Nancy Pelosi.
But I need a breed. No, I'll tell you, pit bulls. Kill them all.
Oh, Ted, even them though. But yeah, I'm not a fan of them.
No, they've got to go. They're dangerous. They any dog that can kill you in a fair fight and no.
That's really hard. Yeah, but Robbie's joke, Nancy Pelosi. I'll leave with a happy, fun Friday thought. Nancy Pelosi on her last trip to sunny SoCal came back to Washington, D.C. with a huge new
Uh,
rack.
Krypton still
what?
saying that Fauci tortured beagles. So it looks
Oh,
like we were all
beagles.
wrong.
I
It was
think
beagles.
that's right.
Oh my God, that's heinous.
Crypty is right. It was
Yep.
beagles. It was
It was
beagles.
beagles.
That's right.
We were
It was
wrong.
beagles.
God, that's
Thank
the
you,
worst.
Crypty.
We were giving you fake news.
Charles Schultz's dog. No, don't do
Oh, it was Snoopy. That's right. It
it.
was
He really
beagles.
had a dog named Snoopy when he was a little boy.
I didn't know that. That was really cute. Well, Crypty is right. And yes, Ted, you didn't know. There are pictures that surfaced, I think it
love
was
beagles. I should have one before I die.
a year or two ago when Nancy Pelosi, because she's from Northern California, she went to SoCal and she was walking along like the Venice Beach boardwalk, and people were taking pictures of her, and she was wearing a full
bikini?
covered not a bikini, a bathing suit, a full but she had like a like a sarong and stuff, but she had like stuff over.
Mhm.
But the LA media noticed there were new developments in Ms. Pelosi, and they started speculating, is that why she's in Los Angeles in particular? Because
Right, that it is the capital of that sort of thing.
we are the capital of boob jobs.
That's
So-
true.
Who'd want to see that on that old hag? Just saying.
Well, she was a beautiful woman.
She was really pretty when she was young. Like,
And actually, it's the plastic surgery that fucked her up. She'd probably
and
still
her
be
face
pretty.
got all
Yeah.
she got all weird looking and yeah. So since Robbie brought up that's his favorite canine that he would donate to science,
That would be the one.
I'm
That would be
I'm
the
gonna
female
leave
dog
you-
I would deliver.
I would leave you guys with the thought of look up Nancy Pelosi walking around the Venice Beach
With
in
her
Santa
massive
Monica Pier.
jugs.
Gigantic.
Wow.
Gigantic.
This is probably part of her husband's recovery process.
Maybe that's how
He has
maybe
a
that's how he
soft
got
place to
hammered.
Rest his head.
He's just like,
Oh God, no.
Maybe that's how he got hammered, Ted.
that's possibly, yeah. She was just reaching around to grab
This is
a
a
glass
Friday
of wine and then bam!
Just bashed with big boobs.
I will leave you with a story. So
Horrible. What?
in college, I was not
Stop the
dating
chain.
this girl. I was just walking around. So I was friends with this, like you go through a period in college where you're like, you and a person of the opposite sex, or maybe the same sex, are like sort of feeling each other out. We might date, we might not date, but nothing's happening.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like testing, 1, 2, 3. So anyway, I was a situation like that with this woman whose name we'll call Kathy because her name was Kathy, and she and one day we're both running down the hall, and she had large breasts, and I accidentally
Chesticles.
slammed into her. Like we ran into each other, like probably running full out, and they were hard as it was like running into two half-size bowling balls. I mean, they was like bam. They were so hard, and it was like I'd never experienced anything like that. I was like, I know some women have dense breast tissue.
Yeah.
Well, hers was like a dark star, and then we did have one night of frolics, and I did get to explore them, and they were so rock hard. It was like literally never experienced. They were real. They were real.
Add-ons. No.
There was no scars. This was the 80s, and there was always a scar underneath. No more. No.
Really?
I conducted a thorough and careful investigation, and I all my P's and Q's, my journalistic P's and Q's, I tested everything.
You inspected.
Is that
I
when you
also
decided? Is that when you decided that journalism was for you? That you needed to go and
it confirmed that journalism.
No,
was for
Ted
me.
was FBI, female body
However,
inspector.
I did not end up going out with her because okay, I'll just say it. She was Armenian and she had like hair all over her arms and
my God,
and she had more arm hair than I did. And I was just like,
And so you were put off by that.
now I wouldn't care. But like at the time, it
Oh
really,
yeah. When you're young, dumb
stupid
shit.
things like that, But I was like 19 and I was like, she has so much hair. It's like, oh.
that's one of the good things about being with a black woman. There's not a whole lot of hair.
Fair.
I think it depends.
I once went on I was like 17. I went on a a
This
date
is off
to
the
Subway
chain.
sandwiches. Subway sandwiches, 17, but I was 17. We went to
Mm-hmm.
Subway sandwiches. And as I sat across from the boy, all I noticed was one ear had the Spock,
Oh, the point.
like a point. It had a point. Like it
Mhm.
wasn't rounded like a normal ear. And I kept staring at it while I was eating my sandwich.
Ted, Antez on Rumble wants to know if you have any photographic evidence to support
Oh
your
my
claims.
God.
No, because this was the 80s and we didn't
Oh, it's the
photograph
80s.
every time we ate. Okay, so no.
That's true.
No,
That's
we did.
true.
We did not do that.
Sorry, Antez, you're out of luck.
No,
buddy.
it's crazy about like how you'll get obsessed visually.
I've
Like
never.
I took a girl home one time from a bar. Well, it's not. It happened more than one time, but in this particular occasion, and she had, when I got her shirt off, she had the same exact birthmark as my mom, like on her stomach, and I was like, "Don't! I'm drunk. I could ignore it. I'm drunk. I can ignore it," but I couldn't ignore it. I just had to leave. It's like,
So you saw mom.
I saw mom. I bolted. I was like, I couldn't make my peace with that. I was like,
fair,
you know,
very fair. And
I've got nothing for
I'll leave that right there. Don't imagine your mom when you're
or
making
giant
out with
moles.
a
You know
woman.
how there's like ladies who have like giant
Cindy
moles?
Crawford.
Okay, again, great example. If I were dating Cindy Crawford, I'd be like, you got zzz, dermatologist, get rid of that shit. Got to go zip zip.
Just get some scissors, just snip it off.
Oh my God, you guys.
X-Acto blade.
Oh my God. I'm gonna stop right there.
I was just
Cindy Crawford is literally like one of a living American modeling icon.
Would be if not for that mole.
I have a little mole. I don't have the big. It's not a big Cindy Crawford.
No,
but it's not big with a bunch of hair growing out of it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just a dot. I literally have like a dot right
It's
there.
just a beauty mark, ain't it? Ain't that what you sophisticated people call them?
I guess that's what they call it.
We call that a euphemism.
I actually had viewers ask if I painted that on. No, it's not fake.
I can't even really see it. Yeah, see, that's like so little. Yeah, that's like. Although, frankly, if I were married to you, Manila, I'd be like bugging you.
Oh my God! And it's under my skin, so it's not like a bump. It's not raised.
That's all right. Like, they just carve it out.
No,
with the ice cream scooper.
No, when that developed, I hated it as a teenager when it started to appear on my face. I was like, why? Like,
it
why?
Could start growing someday and become a tumor, you know.
And then, no, it's just a dot, and it's just kind of there. You know, all the actresses in the old days used to put the dot right there with eyeliner.
Yeah, Marilyn Monroe, right?
Yeah, famously, right? Like mine's just there. But I don't hate on people with face moles. So
yeah,
you know.
Yeah, but
so this is just a typical Friday show. We just kind of just go over everything.
We just descend into. We talk about Nancy Pelosi's boobs. We talk about euthanizing testing on dogs.
And I know women are the same way. Women are like totally like, oh, that guy, he has nose hairs, he's out. You know.
No, we forgive
hairs,
a lot.
he's out.
No, we forgive a lot more.
To hell you say.
That is
I don't know.
I've
had girls ride me hard about this and that.
Well, you know, that could mean a whole other thing, but that's a different Friday conversation.
I can honestly say of the three of us, I'm probably the most boring because I got married almost 20 years ago, and that's just been me and the missus. It's been interesting. Our wedding was probably the most interesting wedding in my hometown in the South in a very long time because we had no idea what was going to happen. But everyone got along. It was a good time, and women are very catty. I work with them a lot here at work. And I'm very thankful that I ain't got to deal with them.
Different. That is a different. Cattiness is different than when you're dating.
To hell you say?
I'm saying women are much more forgiving about you men. And
on what planet?
Different. Like I have forgiven people for being.
My wife will bring up crap I did 100 years ago.
Oh yeah, that's true.
And
nothing's ever forgiven.
Robbie, do you remember when you stepped on my toe back in 2005 and you hurt me and you took me to the strawberry patch because I was sick, but you said you were going to take me to get me some fresh strawberries there in Alabama? Listen, to say that y'all are forgiven, That is crap, Manila.
Never.
That is
Never.
a lie. That is fake news from the pit of hell itself.
No,
I don't think
didn't
women
say
know how to
forgiving
forgive.
about that. I
No, they
said
don't.
forgiving about what you all look like. We are not, maybe not as teenagers, but I'm saying as a grown woman, we are more forgiving if you guys have your stupid nose hairs, like my husband's ear hairs growing. We will fix it for you. In fact, we don't disown you because you suddenly grew a lipoma, Ted.
If I were dating someone with a big mole, I would happily cut it off for them.
Your ex-wife she didn't divorce you when she's like, ew, what's this lipoma growing on you, Ted?
No, she was so, I should have divorced her for not saying that. Because I could have died. That lipoma could have transmogrified into a giant, like, back tumor, killing me because she didn't care enough to say, by the way, you got some weird shit on your back, dude.
That is weird. But me as a wife, it is my duty to tell my husband, what is that growing on you? And pick at it. That's
yeah, exactly. Until it bleeds.
my job.
And then keep going.
White people bump. Just pick them off.
All right, let Robbie go to work.
All right, guys.
Okay.
That's it. This has descended into complete insanity. Thank you for being here. We'll see you on Tuesday, 10 a.m. Eastern. Adios, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.